2209. Presentation to council from the 107th Timbers Army.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank all the members of council for allowing us some time this morning to hear from the Timbers Army, or as they are incorporated and known today as the 107th. As you all know, Portland's Major League Soccer franchise, the Timbers, are loved by soccer fans throughout Oregon and our region, and I dare say have become something of a sports phenomena in the United States. Everyone who's attended a match or watched on TV knows that the Timbers Army, the fans in the north end of Jeld-Wen Stadium, Section 107, I believe, are the most rabid and dedicated fans in Major League Soccer, if not, in fact, in all of Major League sports. What may not be as well known, however, is how involved and dedicated to our community a group of the Timbers Army are, the nonprofit made up of Army members, the 107th. Today, I have the privilege of welcoming the 107th to council, and they have put together a brief presentation as to who they are, their activities in the community over the past year, and their existing vision for the years to come. So with that, I'd like to welcome Board President Scott Swearingen.
Thank you.
Board Vice President Jeremy Wright, and Operation Pitch Board Member Sean Levy.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Thank you very much for having us today. We appreciate the time and appreciate the invite, Commissioner Saltzman. It's good to be back in front of some of you. We were here a lot during MLS to PDX and haven't had a chance to be back. So with new commissioners and a new mayor, we wanted to come back and kind of give you a little overview of who we are, what we've been up to in the last couple of years, and talk a little bit about what our future plans are. My name is Jeremy Wright, Vice President of the 107th. What is the 107th? Wanted to, I don't know if we do this. Oops, okay. We call ourselves the engine that runs the Timbers Army. We're a 501c7 nonprofit organization based here in Portland, Oregon. We have approximately 3,000 members who pay a yearly fee of $25, and they get a card and a swag and a T-shirt. Our mission statement is simple. It's to support soccer in Portland, Oregon from the grassroots to professional level. Okay. What's the history of the 107th in the Timbers Army? The Timbers Army began back in 2001 when 7 to 10 hardy souls showed up at the first soccer game when the Timbers came back to town and decided to stand in the north end and had some pickle buckets and were banging on them and decided that was going to be the way we expressed our support for our beloved soccer team. As we grew through the years in the past decade, we proudly called ourselves an army without generals. And everyone could lead, and if you wanted to do something, step up, and that would be the future. I mean, that would be, we would embrace if it was a good idea. In 2009, as kind of the heels of the MLS to PDX campaign, where we organized and we came in here and we, advocated on behalf of soccer fans across the town to bring MLS to Portland, to remodel the stadium. We realized very quickly, as our team was going Major League, that the Army had to step up its game as well. And so out of that came the 107 Independent Supporters Trust. It's made up of 11 board members who were elected to 3-year terms. And our goal, we have 3 primary areas of focus. The first one is game day operations. Second one is away travel. And the third is community outreach. Game day ops. That's all that great stuff you see, those TIFO and the smoke and thousands of flags. And that we like to say a lot of the times that immense amount of organization goes behind the chaos. Volunteers show up 3 to 4 hours early, go into the stands, set out all those flags you see. Those are owned by 107th. Members' money helps us purchase it. Those stay in the stadium. Those grand displays we do, which are called TIFO. It's a European word that's spread here into the Americas. It's something that we do as a way of showing support of our team, our pride in the community, our pride in this town. That big picture you saw was from Seattle at Home last year. That's actually, you can see, incorporates many parts of Portland, Clive Charles, everything that's made, that we love about our team and our town. I wanted to just touch on one thing before I pass it over to Scott and our community operations stuff is, I jumped over a little bit, is our 107, this logo you see up in the corner. We call that our golden triangle, and it's the team, the town, and the Timbers Army. And, you know, each of those points of that triangle is our focus of what we do. And so one of the other things we do a lot is away travel. This Saturday is, it's obviously our first Seattle away game. I don't know if you're aware. We're bringing 1,000 people up to I-5. In terms of just small economic impacts, we actually will spend over $50,000 at local bus companies this year alone, in leasing them 14 buses this week. In August, when we go up, we'll have a 1,500 allocation. We'll have 20 buses. We're talking about trying to do something with Amtrak. So there's always opportunities for us with travel. Our goal is to have someone at every single away game. We're proud to say that in 2012 that happened. And as part of our travel, we partner with local breweries that allow us, so each bus is named after a local brewery. And they donate beer, so you get on the Lompoc bus, you get on the Hub bus, you get on the Widmer bus, or, I'm going to forget somebody and get mad. So I'm going to pass over our community outreach portion to our board president, Scott Swearingen.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I haven't been in here since 2009. As Jeremy mentioned, one of the important parts of that triangle is the city of Portland and the community around it. That's one of our major focus areas. We have many board goals and strategic visions for what we want to do here. Just on this picture, or on the last picture, we had Oregon Food Bank, we had Friends of Trees, we had James John Elementary and AC Portland, and that was all, in just a period of a couple of months, that was what happened. And that's not just in Portland. The Oregon Food Bank's in Beaverton and Portland. Then the Friends of Trees we've organized in Portland and Vancouver. So on the next slide, this is just sort of an overview of what we've done last year. So Harper's Playground is a handicap accessible playground in North Portland. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. We gave over $42,000 just last year alone, and our total for that project was over $60,000. And that's not counting any in-kind contributions or labor that was used for deconstruction. Then all local area high school programs. Over the past several years, we've given thousands of dollars worth of uniforms, and we've even filled in where coaching needs were available. AC Portland, which gives after-school opportunities and literacy opportunities to kids in the public schools and underserved communities, we gave $5,000 during 2012. We also have a scholarship fund, which pictured here we have Rubio Rubin, who's with the U17 national team in Bradenton, Florida. We were able to help send him there because his family couldn't afford the plane ticket out there, the stuff needed for the school. So we actually help fund that. We also we help emerging charities and other random needs throughout the city, and that totaled over $4,000 last year. Another part of this, it isn't just about money, it's about getting out there and getting our hands dirty. One of the things we like to say when people come to us for us is that sweat equity is really what we bring. It's not the large amounts of dollars. We use the Presidential Volunteer Service Award tracking for our volunteers, and we just started last year, and we're still working out the kinks, but we still recorded over 5,000 hours of volunteer service in 2012. That included things like Friends of Trees, the Oregon Food Bank, AC Portland that I mentioned before, as well as all the Sunday parkways. I just wanted to touch on Harper's Playground one more time, because that was a really big deal for us. Back in 2010, we actually were one of the first groups to help raise awareness for that, and just our relatively minor contribution of money was, it was actually a pretty big deal at that time because no one really knew about it. They had limited money in the bank, and we brought visibility both to you guys sitting here as well as all of our members. So that really helped get behind it and get people on his board and get people pushing forward on that. Just last weekend, we had a maintenance party to help fix things that maybe hadn't gone right in the first time and make sure everything's still perfect, repaint some benches that needed to get hit in that park again. And that brought over 25 people before the game last Saturday. Like I said and mentioned before, just last year, we gave over $10,000 to Portland Public Schools. Those schools included Jefferson, Madison, and Franklin. There were others, but it's good to make an impact on both the men's and women's programs at that school, as well as their JV and varsity. So regardless of skill, they have access to quality equipment. So some of the highlights for last year as well is, we built on a foundation with MLS, and now it's time for us to take the next level. We've been, seen as sort of a leader both nationwide, and now we're getting worldwide recognition. So how do we take that further? So for years, we've had partnerships with local breweries, but this year we wanted to do something meaningful and impactful. So this year, we released the Green and Gold Kolsch with Windmere. And this is significant because it's the first beer to bear our label. It also bears the label of the 107ist, and it has a call to action for people to go find out what we are about and help support our community activities. And 1% of the sales are going to go to our community outreach endeavors. So that's a pretty big deal for us, and you'll be able to buy it at all fine retailers in town. Another highlight was that we found our own physical space. For the first 10 years, everything was kept in people's garages and basements to the disappointment of significant others everywhere. And so last year we found our own home, and it's on the corner of 17th and Alder in the Goose Hollow Neighborhood Association. It's 1,500 square feet. We call it the Fanladen. It's taken from St. Pauli in Germany. It's sort of a place to bring the community together and to run all our activities and storage. It's the first of its kind in the United States, where it's actually an independent supporters group owning their own place. And we also joined the Goose Hollow Neighborhood Association and the Business Association, and have been organizing activities there and working to help finish off their sign cap project. So for this year, our goals is we want to grow to 4,000 members. We're well on our way. We're the biggest we've ever been at this point in the year, so I'm confident we'll be able to reach that. We want to give over $100,000 in charitable contributions. We want our track volunteer hours to be over 10,000. And we want at least 50 Timbers Army members at every away match. It's not enough just to have a handful at Dallas or some of the harder games to get to. We want to have over 50 at every organized away match, including Portland expatriates as well as people traveling out there. And we also want to fund our first big capital project that we're taking on our own, which is through Operation Pitch Invasion, and it's Bless Field up at New Columbia. And so I'll pass that to Sean Levy.
Thank you. The day that we first decided we would organize into an army with not generals, but captains at least, the first idea that came up when we said if we could bottle the positivity, communitarianism, and energy of the Timbers Army was what became Operation Pitch Invasion. Our mission is to restore, maintain, and build soccer fields in the city. To date, we've worked with the Portland Parks on 5 parks facilities, donating approximately 1,600 volunteer hours. We show up on a Saturday morning in a group of about 50, replace sprinkler heads, level the fields, reseed, straighten, scrape, and repaint the goal mouths, and leave the park looking new. We've been told time and again that the amount of labor we're able to do in a single morning, the Parks Department, because of the amount of space they have and the amount of labor they have, it would take them literally months to accomplish. This year, we're going to do 4 more parks. Last year, we also showed up at a warehouse on Division Street and took every goal mouth that was in storage or put in a disused pile and refurbished it. So there was a rack of about 90 new-looking goals that they could then bring out to the parks. We've worked with Portland Public Schools. James John Elementary, we were sort of the muscle behind a deep paving project, replacing a blacktop with a turf field. We've cut a new field at Whitman Elementary where there was a disused baseball field that's going to be converted into a soccer field. So those things we kind of show up on the sweat equity side, but we've always had a vision of something bigger. That vision is going to be realized this year in Bless Field. Bless Field is at the New Columbia Housing Community. It's a vacant lot right between Rosa Parks Elementary and the Boys and Girls Club. We're going to put a $200,000 turf field, all-weather field, on that spot. We're going to populate it with Timbers Army volunteer coaches, mentors, people running clinics, skills workshops, supervised by the Boys and Girls Club, and instructed in turn by the Timbers Academy, so that the instruction that they're getting is actually sort of in line with what is expected at the professional level. The project is called Bless Field. It's named after General Timber Howie Bless, as we knew him. Fellow, he was on the cover of Willamette Week years ago when they first reported on the Timbers Army phenomenon. Ex-GI with a big belly, used to bang a gong or a triangle at games. He passed in 2009. We did not know his name, and it turns out to be Bless, Howard Bless. And one day, a child who learns to play from the Timbers Army in the Timbers way on that field is going to score a meaningful goal at Geldwen Field, and she might be a thorn. This is meant to be a completion of that triangle that Jeremy referenced, the Team Town Timbers Army. It's energy, it's positivity, it's taking kids who come from all over the world to live in Portland and make their first landfall at New Columbia, and turning them to what's good about this city and what's positive, teaching them things from the history of people like Clive Charles and Timber Jim Serrell, to the meaning of that Portland flag, to what it means to go out on game day and win, lose, or draw, support your team and your town. We have, as I say, it's a $200,000 project between the 107th, the Timbers Army, and Operation Pitch Invasion's own fundraising. We're almost halfway there. We haven't yet begun to reach out to the Timbers corporate sponsor partners. We're starting to do that now. On April 4th at the Hollywood Theater, we have a bunch of Timbers legends from the 70s are going to be present for an evening we call Beating Seattle Never Gets Old. We're showing highlights of the 1975 playoff match where the Timbers beat Seattle in overtime, and we're going to have the players who are on the field sort of doing a live director's cut, describing what was going on during the game. We have a glorious tradition here. The ground that our players play on first hosted soccer in 1893. Barcelona wasn't playing on the same field in 1893. We're very cognizant of how much has accrued to us from the city, from you folks, from the community. We've always wanted to put our muscle and our money where our mouths are. We sing about Portland for 90 minutes a game. We live this 365 days a year. Thank you.
Thank you all. Does that complete your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys get the
thank you.
beer at the end.
But not during the
yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
So this is a presentation. I don't know if my colleagues have any remarks, but I just want to start out by saying how, very proud I am of the Timbers Army and the 107th. And in fact, when I did vote back in 2009 to say, let's go ahead and remodel Geldwen Field so that we can get a Major League Soccer team here, I'll be the first to admit I am, I'm still acquiring a taste for soccer. And the Timbers are helping. But I didn't come to it naturally, but what really impressed me was really the turnout by the Timbers Army and the passion they had for this sport. I knew that we were going to sell out those games, and that was a crucial factor in the economic equation for the city, was because we get money from ticket sales. So, and I was also very impressed with the community service aspect of the Timbers Army. So those two things were really what swayed me to be the vote to move ahead and remodel Geldwen. And in looking back in retrospect, I drove by Geldwen Saturday afternoon around 2:30, and there was a game at 7:30 that night, but there were people lined up around the park at 2:30, and I was very impressed. I think they were either there for a thorn practice or maybe they just get there 5 hours early.
Yeah, that's.
They get there 5 hours, some cases like 8 hours early, because we're general admission in the north end, and we've gone to a policy where people line up, they get a numbered wristband,
Oh, that's
and then they
good.
can go away and come back and they line up right before gates open.
So I've just been very impressed, and your report here, your partnership with Portland Parks, your partnership with Portland Public Schools is just outstanding. You have really set, you have not disappointed me 1 second since the decision to move ahead. And as I alluded to, it's been a success for the city's coffers as well. We are making more revenue than we anticipated because of the outstanding crowds that turn out for each one of these games. They're virtually all sellouts, and the Timbers Army is just phenomenal. 107th, so congratulations, and thank you very much for your service
Thank
to our
you.
community.
Well, I have a question and a comment. The question is, what about the Thorns? How does this new team enhance what your plans are for the future? And how does the how does the Thorns get incorporated into your work with the Timbers?
Yeah, so one of the things that made the Timbers Army really special is that we grew organically and created our, the legends and everything that went along with it happened throughout the years. There's stories for that. So what 107th is doing is we're helping support a core group of our members who are looking to support the Thorns in that way, both financially and organizationally, so they can help grow that from a small core of people who are really interested in making that happen and bring the other people who are season ticket holders into creating unique legends, unique memories around the Thorns. So while it won't be under the Timbers Army banner, the 107th is going to be supporting their efforts in order to create a rivaling organization for the women's team as well.
Well, I want to thank you, and I want to just echo what Dan said. In your presentation, you highlighted three things that have meant the world to Portland Parks and Rec. And the first was Harper's Playground, which was one of the proudest things that we've had a chance to be involved with. And it simply would not have happened without great partners. And you guys stood up early, and you helped make it happen. In fact, Cody Goldberg was with us last night, and we rewarded his stalwart service by not actually having the time to call him forward at a budget forum. But Cody wanted there to be a playground for his daughter and for all children that have experience barriers, physical and otherwise. And you guys were there from the beginning, and you were there at the groundbreaking, and you're now there maintaining it. So heartfelt thank you on that. The second thing that we did last year that was a proud moment was we dedicated a community center in honor of Charles Jordan. And I think the significance of that has to do with the Bless Field, because the Bless Field occupies a very important piece of ground in our community, because it's across the street from the Rosa Parks Elementary School. It's around the corner from Charles Jordan Community Center. It's diagonal from the Village Garden. It's down the street from the Village Market, and it's in the most diverse census tract in the state of Oregon called the New Columbia. So congratulations for insisting that young people who don't have the same advantages there that kids in other places of the city have a field, their first safe place to play all sports, including soccer. And finally, I just want to thank you also specifically for the work you've done enhancing ball fields, pitches at the high schools. We are cutting budgets at every level of government, and some people don't think fields are a priority. We agree that they are a priority. But without the sweat equity and the other things you bring to the table, a number of those fields would not be properly maintained. And that is another lasting legacy of the work that you do. So, gentlemen, thank you for your stalwart work and your support, and your council is very proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
I couldn't say it better than Commissioner Fish did. In fact, I couldn't say it anywhere near as well. I did have a question for you, specifically since you mentioned Barcelona. I was curious, as a non-traditional army, in Spanish Civil War terms, do you think you organize more similarly to the Marxist POUM or the anarchist militias?
Yes.
Yes.
Which of the two?
To give an answer would be to pick a side, and we try not to do that.
We have one side we support. It's the Portland Timbers.
That's it.
Bravo.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. My former hometown of Leeds is known for soccer hooligans. It's delightful to know that the Timbers are truly phenomenal, in that the Portland Timbers are setting a standard across the world for community involvement and for 24/7, 365 involvement that the games are part of, but not the only thing. So thank you so much for coming for this presentation. I'm particularly interested to hear about the Presidential Volunteer Hours Tracking System. So if you can let my staff know about that. Portland was listed as the second highest volunteering city in our country. I think it's just because we don't track our hours very well. And so I'm hopeful that we can become the number one, and it sounds like the Timbers Army is really helping us with that. I love the phrase, beating Seattle never gets old. I'm also an Oregon Ducks football fan, and watching the pick against UW never gets old. So I'm also now a proud Portland Thorns season ticket holder, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the women's game take prominence here at Geldwen in partnership with you, and thank you for the alliance there. Commissioner Fish and I are going to be co-sponsoring a resolution shortly about the Cascadia Cup, which we'll be working with the Timbers and the 107ists. For those who like I, before I went to the opening game of this season, didn't realize that the Cascadia Cup is a fan-based award and needs to stay that way. And so there'll be something coming to council very shortly on that, which Commissioner Fish and I are very happy to work with you on. So thank you for all the work that you've done to make this truly a very Portland-like Timbers Army and 107th. And thank you for coming here to tell everybody in Portland about it on television.
Thank you.
Well, the only things I'd add, I think these are great comments and reflect the affection that this council has, as well as the whole community has, for what you're doing, for what you're doing to support the team, to make the games exciting and accessible to everybody else, and to support the community. Just a couple of anecdotes. Like Commissioner Fish, I was involved early on with the Goldberg family and the Harper's Playground, and not only were you enormously helpful and in terms of both dollars and volunteers, but I think you gave them a lot of hope and raised a lot of visibility for the project. And I think that excitement factor that you bring was also very much the case with Friends of Trees, that it made it much more exciting for all the other volunteers to participate because the Timbers Army was involved. So I think you now have enough star power as an organization that where you choose to place your volunteer hours and dollars is not only valuable in the practical effect of that, but in the sort of intangible effect of getting other people to share the excitement. So really appreciate everything you're doing. We look forward to this season and many more. So thanks for the update here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's hear it for the Timbers.
All right.
Hey, great. All right.
Thank you. That'll go.
I should say these
Thank you.
scarves we have now sold over 30,000 of these scarves now just in our community.
Wow. Oh, wow, all right.
Picture?
Sure, let's do it.
It's a team. We almost got enough here for.
When I root for the Timbers.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, take them off for the rest of the council. Let the record show these won't be consumed during the meeting. Okay, that was fun. Thank you very much. We are now to the regular agenda.